density, he was very shocked. People were shocked by this type of suggestion, even though the math kind of gives you that, but they were shocked. And he refused to believe Chandrasekhar's result. And, Chandrasekhar was just a grad student at that time. Eddington thought it was simply not possible that a star could collapse to a point. So this point star, dark star, black hole, same thing, okay? This was the view of most scientists. Einstein himself wrote a paper in which he claimed that stars would not shrink to zero size. The hostility of other scientists, particularly Eddington, his former teacher, and the leading authority on the structure of stars, persuaded Chandrasekhar to abandon this line of work and turn instead to other problems in astronomy, such as the motion of star clusters. So this type of hostile environment, like imagine yourself being the grad student who's working on all of this, and there's people like advisors or not, it doesn't even have to be an advisor. They could be part of your committee or somebody important, somebody in a mentor role. If they don't like what you're doing, if they are hostile towards your work, then that can actually really affect you and affect things on the day to day. And it can feel very daunting to keep pursuing that same line of work. In fact, I mean, to some extent, being stomped on in academia is very common. It happens to all of us. Bribe them with honey wine. Hello, John Foster. We're only hostile with Rose. You guys are nice, but academia is not. Dealing with some level of honey wine. Hostility. I was going to say honey wine, or hostility, but then I read honey wine. Dealing with some level of hostility, not honey wine. Honey wine is banned in academia, is very common. Like I used to give talks, a few talks per week as a grad student, trying to give an update on my work to, senior people. And those talks, I mean, getting stomped on, kind of getting beat up is very, very common. So if you have, you have to have a lot of faith in your work and some nerves really to kind of keep going. And I'm not surprised that Chandrasekhar had to kind of abandon this line of work with the black hole stuff. I had some honey wine earlier. I was at that same Ethiopian restaurant again with my friend. I always blame management for everything that goes wrong, no matter if it's my fault. Aw. Dora has done a great job. I'm seeing his comments about brushing teeth and whatnot. That is a lot of work you're doing together, multitasking. I always blame management. John Foster, how are you doing? You're late. Late to class. Thank you for liking the live. Can we get 20 likes? So Chandrasekhar kind of abandoned this line of work, poor thing, and turned instead to other problems in astronomy, such as the motion of star clusters. Even to this day, though, his work with the mass limits on stars and how massive they can be before blah and blah happens, the Chandrasekhar limit, it's named after him. He's still very successful. And he's still quoted, of course, on all of this stuff. So good job, Chandrasekhar. Good job, Chandrasekhar. And so sorry that the environment was hostile. Not surprised at all, though. However, when he was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1983, it was at least in part for his early work on the limiting mass of cold stars. So, Chandrasekhar had shown that the Are you serious? Wait, do I have a booger coming out of my nose? I hope not. I was almost management with Popeyes.